Good afternoon, everybody. Keith here. Wanted to talk to you today after a little discussion I had last night on my video in regards to the UCC 1-308, reserving your rights. And basically what it comes down to, first let's talk about reserving your rights. It can be done in many ways. You do not have to use the UCC 1-308. That is just a reference. You can use any wording such as all rights retained, no rights waived. You can use the initials VC or TDC. TDC stands for threats, duress, and coercion. Anything like that, letting them know that you're standing on your rights. And basically, the way it works is when you sign something with 1-308, reserving your rights not to contract, that's exactly what it is. And so when you do that on these like traffic citations and stuff, sign it, and then that's it. You're done. You have reserved your rights. They have no recourse. Period. But what happens is everybody thinks that they're going to come after them because they've charged them. Understand, charging is a commercial term. It's a commercial term. If you're committed a crime, then they shall accuse you. And according to your Sixth Amendment right, you have the right to confront your accusers. Now, when we talk about the 1-308, reserving your rights and everything, when you sign that, and then you turn around, after you've already clarified that you don't want a contract, and then you turn around and go into that court, like I've said before, that's a different level of communication. You've just switched from a verbal communication with the officer, telling them that you're that you're reserving your rights, and then a literal communication by writing on the ticket, reservation of rights. And now you've switched to a different form of communication, which is a physical form. By appearing in their court, you've just changed your mind and said that you want a contract. So it's your own fault when this stuff happens. And so if you look below this video in my previous post, you'll see I posted something in regards to the iowacourts.gov, where you can go online and it gives specific instructions. You can look up my case file and look at all the different cases that they've applied to me over the years. And you can see the dispositions of them, you can see the financials of them and everything. And the cases that I listed in my post there, you'll see the first four are the charges that they brought me up on August 24th of 2016 for the invalid plates, where I had private property placards from the local hardware store. Now, what they did was they pulled me over for invalid plates, and then gave me or searched my vehicle or searched my truck, found marijuana and paraphernalia, and of course I don't carry insurance on the truck. Didn't have registration, didn't have title. So they charged me with all of that, as well as interference with official acts. And throughout the whole process, I didn't sign any papers except for the one paper where I had to sign to get out of jail. And that was it. And that was just a simple summons. And that is not a contract in itself. And so even though with the reservation and rights and everything, on the previous tickets, throughout my case on August 24th, 2016, none of those previous cases that you'll see on the lower portion of that post showed up anywhere. Even though they were wanting to enforce collections on them, they couldn't, because they have no enforcement. They have no enforcement whatsoever. I signed UCC 1-308 on all of those tickets and never once appeared in their courts after that on those charges. And so when you do this stuff, understand what you're doing, and then understanding that there's more than just one level of communication. And that's what they're working on. So when we talk about getting down to the breakdown of the words and getting back to the origins of the words, that's one thing. But you have to understand that there's so many different levels of communication. You have communication in numbers. You have communication in letters. You have communication in words. You have communication in symbols. You have communication in terms. You have communication in conditions. You have communication in concepts. They're all different forms of communication. And when you physically walk into a courtroom, to address a charge that they've scheduled, then you're communicating to them that you wish to contract, even though you've already signed UCC 1-308. And see, what happens is once you sign that and you don't go into court, they'll still put it into what they call a disposition. In other words, they will still find you guilty and assess the charges. But remember, they can't assess them against the man because the man never appeared, especially if he reserved his rights. So the charges still only apply to that estate. Understand this stuff, people. So anyway, when you get done watching this video, go to my previous post, the one that has my cases listed, and you can go by the instructions that I give you there. Go to iowacourts.gov, and then go onto that site. It says how do I, and then when you hover over that how do I spot, it'll drop down a drop down window. It says search records, search court records. Click on search court records, and then it'll give you a couple other options. It says case search. Click on case search. When you click on the case search, then you can enter in a name. Go ahead and enter my name in. I've got it. I listed that on the post, and you'll see all the cases all throughout the years. But if you look up the specific cases on that post, you'll see that the first 4 are from August 24th of 2016. And you'll see the ones below that were all cases from prior to that. And you'll see there's invalid, or not invalid plates. There's seat belt, there's speeding, there's no insurance, all kinds of stuff. There's a couple tickets down there for dog at large, dog causing harm. There's an assault on there. Everything that I signed with UCC 1-308, and then I never showed up in court. And then I was pulled over for the invalid plates, went through that whole trial and everything, got sentenced, convicted, sentenced, did did 47 out of 60 days with no probation. They still want a DNA sample and a drug eval, which they're not going to get. They have no enforcement on it, none whatsoever. The sentence is already done and over with. I've already served it. They have no joinder with me any further, even though they required me to get a drug eval and provide a DNA sample. Fuck them. They can't order anything from a man. All they can do is put me in handcuffs and set me in a room. Everything else is my option. So when you sign these tickets with UCC 1-308 or reserving your rights in any way, that's what you've done. It's already done. Understand that. It's done. You've already told them you don't want a contract. If you go into court after that, you're telling them you want a contract now. Quit it. After my sentencing and everything and did my time, I've been helping people with their court cases. Walk into their court, no problem. I was just down there to get my file. And you can look in that file and see that everything I posted on the post is accurate. And when you click on those cases, look up the finances. It'll have a thing across there, and you can look up the financial on it. You can look up the crime. It'll tell you what crime it was. It'll tell you on there whether it was dismissed or found guilty or pled guilty or not guilty. You'll see them in there. You'll see all the things I've had dismissed or not guilty. Assault, deadly weapon, police officer, not guilty. Tried to tell me I was trying to run him down with my van. Not guilty. So all you got to do is comprehend what's going on before you start signing shit. See, that's the presumption of the courts. The presumption of a commercial court is that if you signed, then you signed because you knew what you were doing. That's the basic simples of it. So if you just quit signing and start reading this shit and understanding what it is, first find out what kind of languages they're using on these documents. Look up your four corners rule. your dog Latin, foreign languages, ASL, American Sign Language. That's where you see in the middle of a paragraph, all of a sudden they use all capital letters. That's American Sign Language. Or titles. Titles are all capitalized. So when you see a case that says State of Iowa versus Keith Little, and that's the capital, all caps title of the case. And then you'll see defendant, and it says defendant, and it'll say all cap letter, Keith Little. That's the estate. The upper one is the title. The one down below is the estate. They're both fictitious. And if they put your real name on there, watch the language that they use and the structure of the sentences. Because depending on where they put it and how they use the words and, of, and for, and the, and this, and all those little words make a big difference in how the sentence is structured. And this is the stuff you got to learn. But when you get down to the very basics of it, understand one more time. When you reserve your rights not to contract, you've already done that. You've reserved your rights. You're done with it. If you turn around and then go into court, you're reinstituting that contractual term. You're starting all over. It's like, hey, bring that copy in here so I can talk to him. I want a contract with him. And that's exactly the way they look at it. They presume that if you sign UCC 1-308, you know how it goes and you shouldn't be showing up in court. But then if you turn around and show up in court, they know, he knows to use it, but he doesn't know how to use it. And so they push right on through again. So I assure you, using your reservation of rights and doing it diligently and knowing how to use it is very, very important. You can't just think that you can use it without knowing how to use it. Because those are the people that are going to use it, write it on their ticket, and then show up in court. Don't do that. You've already reserved your rights. You're done with it. If they want to accost you again, they'll come knocking on your door. They know where I'm at. They know what I'm doing. They see me on Facebook all the time. I walk into the courtroom all the time. Courthouse all the time. I'll travel right up in there and park right in their parking lot. They know who I am. So understand this, people. UCC 1-308 or VC or TDC or all rights reserved, no rights waived, all rights reserved, no recourse, things like that. They're all saying the same thing. As long as you establish the fact that you're reserving your rights to not contract. Period. That's all it is. So, with that, I'm done. God bless. Everybody have a great day. This one's for you. Peace out.